Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om
Om
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate
Namo
Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naranam
Namaskritya
Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva
Chaiva
Narottamam
Navatamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim
Devim
Saraswati
Saraswatim
Vyasam
Vasam
Jayamudirayet.
Tato
Tato
Jayamudiraye
Jayamudaraya
Praesha Bhadreshu.
Nashtapraya
Prayeshu
Bhadreshu
Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam
Nityam
Bhagavata
Bhagavata
Sevaya
Sevaya
Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama
Devitama
Shloke
Shloke
Bhavati Nayishtiki
Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki
Namaste
Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Krishnaya
Krishnaya
Vasudevaya
Vasudevaya
Devaki Nandanaya Cha
Devaki
Nandanaya
Nandanaya
Cha
Cha
Gopakumaraya
Nanda
Nanda
Kumaraya
Gopakumaraya
Daya Namo Namaha.
Govindaya
Jaya
Namo
Namo Namaha
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we'll continue the first chapter for the third canto. So this chapter is uh, inquiries of Parikshit Maharaj about the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. Vidura asks many questions, and Maitreya Muni, who has the direct audience of the Supreme Lord, when Supreme Lord was about to leave the world. Just before leaving the world, um, he meets Uddhava, and he speaks Uddhava Gita. As part of that, Maitreya Muni happened to be there around that. He would be just listening from the side while Krishna and Uddhava speak to each other. And Vidura leaves the family because of the insult of Duryodhana, and he pursues pilgrimage. So, as part of the pilgrimage, he visits, he meets Uddhava, but then Uddhava is younger to Vidura, so he considers it inappropriate to speak to somebody senior. So he requests him to meet Maitreya, who also happened to hear Krishna conversation between himself and Krishna. So, so that is the context. Now there is some more context given here about what has led for Vidura's leaving of Hastinapura, the insult by Duryodhana. So that will be discussed a little bit here. Yeah, Sankad rishis, at the end of second canto, they expressed the desire to hear Vidura Maitreya conversation. So that's why Sukadeva Goswami, instead of continuing the process of creation and discussion of Padmakalpa, he instead speaks about Vidura Maitreya conversation. Yeah, so this is about inquisitiveness of Parikshit Maharaj to hear about the Vidura Maitreya conversation.
So, Prabhu, Vidur and Maitreya Muni, they met only first time or they met before?
Now, first time
So they met first time after Krishna departed from the material world.
in the material world, correct? Yeah. So I think last session we discussed these verses, some of these verses where, uh, you know, the atrocities committed by Dhritarashtra and party, all the Kauravas, 100 children of Dhritarashtra towards Pandavas. So Dhritarashtra, even though he is king, he is the ruler, he could have done justice to his nephews, fatherless nephews, but he didn't. So, for example, he did not stop Draupadi disrobing by Dussasana, his son. Hmm. They were cheated in gambling match. Yeah. And finally, they did not even take the words of the Lord seriously. That led to the war, finally. Right? Yeah. As a final rescue, after Lord leaves, one final thing happened, that is, Vidura also tried to instruct Dhritarashtra that this war is unnecessary. And he tells that this war is all because of your son. You should send him out. He is not your friend. He's your enemy. Like that he says. Yeah, but still he did not listen. Yeah. So then finally this section comes where Duryodhana insults Vidura. Let's read that. Iti uchivanstatra suyodanena
तत्र प्रयोधनेन
pravriddhakopa spuritadarena
प्रवृद्धकोपास्पृष्टत्वेन
asatkrita sat spehaniya
असत्कृता सत्स्पृहणीयशीला
sakar sakarnanuj saubalena.
यत्ता सकर्णानुजसौबलेन
Anyone want to read?
While speaking thus, Vidura, whose personal character was esteemed by respectable persons, was insulted by Duryodhana, who was swollen with anger and whose lips were trembling. Duryodhana was in company with Karna, his younger brothers, and his maternal uncle Shakuni. Purport by His Divine Grace, His Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It is said that giving good counsel to a foolish person causes the fool to become angry, just as feeding milk to a snake only increases its venomous poison. Saint Vidura was so honorable that his character was looked up by all respectable persons. But Duryodhana was so foolish that he dared to insult Vidura. This was due to his bad association with Shakuni, his maternal uncle, as well as with his friend Karna, who always encouraged Duryodhana in his nefarious acts.
So what happens when one has bad association is given here. Duryodhana had unfortunately very bad association. He himself is a person in mode of passion and ignorance. Now when he had the association of more bad people, this is what happens. What happens? You lose the discrimination about what is right, what is wrong. Here is Vidura, who is trying to actually help so he took upon himself as the duty to protect the kingdom. And he was speaking from that perspective on how what is the best thing to do. And in the process he spoke about Duryodhana, the evil deeds of Duryodhana, and Duryodhana was not ready to hear, so he insults him very badly. And this Vidura, Vidura's words to Kauravas and all the Dhritarashtra that is given in Mahabharata, there is it is very famous. It is called Vidura Niti. Have you heard about it? And that Vidura Niti is seen as a guide, diplomacy guide. Even today's time, place, circumstances, it's still relevant. What is spoken to Kauravas was not directly ever followed because Kauravas always ignored good advice. But the same knowledge is esteemed as one of the best knowledge in the world about diplomacy. Vidraniti, very famous. So it appears, from this, sometimes when we speak, the immediate audience may not appreciate it, but it can be, of great use for people later. Today so many people just speak about Viduruniti. So many books were written, so many people made their life out of this. But at that time, the direct audience never cared for what Vidura spoke. Yeah. So bad association with Shakuni, that's what made Duryodhana act like this. Kayena matro pajuhava jihmam
Kaenam
Matro bahu juhava
dasya sutam yad balinaiva pusta
dasya
dasya
दास्यासुतं
samyat
यत्
kalinaiva
फलेनैव कृष्टा
tasmin pratipa parakritya aste
tasmin
तस्मिन्
tasmin
प्रतिपा
parakritya
परकीर्त्य
aste
अस्ते
aste
vasyatam asuparacchavas chasana.
nirvas
निर्वास्यतां
tam
Tam
सुपुराशु
asuparaja
Please read.
who asked him to come here? This son of a kept mistress, he is so crooked that he spies in the interest of the enemy against those whose support he has grown up. Toss him out of the palace immediately and leave him with only his breath.
See, look at the angry words of Duryodhana. So he's saying, he's insulting him as he's a fatherly figure. He's an uncle, brother of his father. Because if Vidura spoke all logic on why Dhritarashtra should get away from Duryodhana, but Duryodhana has no logic to defend himself. So when there is no logic, just like politicians, you do what? Character assassination. That's what, when there is no better logic, people go to, they attack individually. You see, this is the nature of crooked people. And that's what Duryodhana is doing here. So he's calling him son of a kept mistress. What does it have to do with what he's speaking, right? And he's saying that he should immediately leave the palace with only his breath. Vidura spent all his life serving this kingdom and the king and the children, everything. And for that, even in material world, for example, somebody gets a 401k or in India, there's called Provident Fund, right? At the end of, if not retirement money, at least people get Provident Fund. Here, Vidura is left with nothing but just breath. That is the Provident Fund he was given. He was just thrown out with his dress, nothing else. One may say, Vidura, depending on his attachment to his duties as a minister or his, he could have argued about that, but he did not choose to because he knows he is not attached to kingdom. He is only attached to Krishna. He is a devotee. So he is not affected. So when a thing is taken away from us, we are afflicted according to the level of attachment we hold on to it. Because Vidura is not attached. But the words have really pierced his heart. That's a different thing because it's coming directly from a person who is almost the age of his son. You see this. Who is Vidura in his previous life? Anyone?
Dharmaraj
Yeah.
or Raj. Yes.
Yamaraj.
Yes.
So as Yamaraj, he controls the destiny of everyone. Now imagine that same person in the current circumstances. He is born a low birth and he is being insulted by his uh, nephew, a younger person. So what does it tell? Krishna decides who should be given what. The same Yamaraj is given such high powers in the Yamalok,
Pitrulok, right, Prabhuji?
Pitrulok, you can call it. So in that place, he controls the destiny of every living entity in the entire universe. But if the same person, when Krishna decided to be born as Vidura, he was insulted. But Vidura being a pure devotee, he stands up to all of that. He knows what is the right course of action at every moment. So Krishna is the real controller. That's what we should understand. The same person is given a high position in one place and a low position in another place. So ultimately, it is Krishna who decides what should one have. Yeah. So that. Okay. Let's read this.
Yes, Prabhuji. When getting married, the Kshatriya kings would take on several other youthful girls along with the married princess. These girls, attendants of the king, were known as dasis or attendant mistresses. By intimate association with the king, the dasis would get sons. Such sons were called dasiputras. They had no claim to a royal position, but they would get maintenance and other facilities just like princes. Vidur was the son of such dasi, and he was thus not counted amongst the Kshatriya kings. Dhritarashtra was very affectionate towards his younger Dasiputra brother Vidur, and Vidur was a great friend and a philosopher advisor to Dhritarashtra. Duryodhan knew very well that Vidur was a great soul and a well wisher, but unfortunately, he used the strong words to hurt his innocent uncle. Duryodhan not only attacked Vidur's birth but also called him an infidel because he seems to support the cause of Yudhishthir, whom Duryodhan considered his enemy. He desired that Vidur be immediately put out of the palace and deprived of all his possessions.
Yeah. So that's how violently he reacts. Sometimes people, when they are, when they go through moods of anger, they become violent. You see, even it happens to people in today's time. When people hear things of not to their liking, you can see how they react. Especially people with demonic nature, they react violently. That's what he's doing, here.
This is like a desire expectation in Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, right, Prabhu?
A delusion, yeah.
Yes.
Desire and
So,
delusion.
you have strong desire and does not meet, then you express the frustration and anger.
Swayam dhanurdhari nidhaya mayam
Swayam
स्वयं धनुर्द्वारिनिधाय मायां
मायां
dhatu puro marma sutaditopi
भ्रातु
Bhratur
पुरो मर्मसुताडितोऽपि
पुरोमर्मसुत्रहितोऽपि
saittamachul vanama karna banair
साहित्यम्
साहित्यमत्युल्बणकर्णपाणैः
gata vyatho yad urumanayana.
गता
ताव्यतो
व्यतो यत्
यादुर्मानयानः
Hmm. Please.
thus being pierced by arrows through his ears and afflicted to the core of his heart, Vidura placed his bow on the door and quit his brother's palace. He was not sorry, for he considered the acts of external energy to be supreme.
Yeah. So thus being pierced by arrows through his ears, because the words are so painful, uh, heart was broken. when we when a person insults, words are very powerful. When we speak, we have to be extremely careful. That's the reason. Once broken heart, it's very difficult to again bring it together. It's that's why we have to be extremely careful when we speak, especially negative words to others. It completely changes their perception of us. So Vidura placed his bow on the door and quit his brother's place. He didn't really consider, bow is going to protect me. He just leaves it. He doesn't, depend on it. He was not sorry, for he considered the acts of the external energy to be supreme. So he was not sorry that he spoke like that, because he knows he is dependent on Krishna, not anybody else. So, and he knows the acts of destiny. He's the Yamaras. He knows what is the truth, how truth works. So he didn't worry about any of that. Yeah, continue.
The pure devotee of the Lord is a conditional soul is absorbed in material existence under the influence of different modes of external energy. Absorbed in the false ego, he thinks that he is doing everything by himself. The external energy of the Lord, the material nature, is fully under the control of the Supreme Lord, and the conditioned soul is fully under the grip of the external energy. Therefore, the conditioned soul is fully under the control of the law of the Lord. But due to illusion only, he thinks himself independent in his activities.
So, conditioned soul thinks that in the metal under the influence of modes of metal nature, conditioned soul is always absorbed, and absorbed in that false ego. He thinks that he is doing everything by himself, but actually it is the external energy of the Lord, fully under control. So that is being told here. Yeah. Sanirgata kaurava punya labdho
Sanirgata kaurava punyalabdho
gaja vaya pada padani
Gajavaya tirthapadah padani
vakrama punya chikrisa yo urvayam. Sorry.
Anvakramat punyachikishayorvyam
Your
Adhisthito nisahasramurti.
Adhishtito
Adhishtitoyani Sahasramurti.
Sahasramurti.
Yeah, please read.
By his piety, Vidura achieved the advantages of the pious Kauravas. After leaving Hastinapura, he took shelter of many places of pilgrimages, which are the Lord's lotus feet. With a desire to gain a high order of pious life, he traveled to holy places where thousands of transcendental forms of the Lord are situated.
So this is how a devotee considers. So he was insulted, he was thrown out of the home. Vidura wanted to take advantage of the situation, and he wanted to use this opportunity to go visit various pilgrimage sites where Lord has appeared. Lord's lotus feet is present. So, and also, it is mentioned with a desire to gain high order of pious life. Once when a person visits the holy place, his punya increases, his bhakti increases. Vidra being a pure devotee, we actually, meet holy people as well.
Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vidura was undoubtedly a highly elevated and pious soul. Otherwise, he would not have taken his birth in the Kaurava family. To have high parentage, to possess wealth, to be highly learned, and to have great personal beauty are all due to past pious acts. But such pious positions are not sufficient for obtaining the grace of the Lord, and being engaged in his transcendental loving service. Vidura considered himself less pious, and therefore he decided to travel to all the great places of pilgrimage in the world in order to achieve greater piety and advance nearer to the Lord. At that time, Lord Krishna was personally present in the world, and Vidura could have at once approached him directly. But he did not do so because he was not sufficiently freed from sin. One cannot be 100% devoted to the Lord unless and until he is completely free from all effects of sin. Vidura was conscious that by the association of the diplomatic Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, he had lost his piety and was therefore not fit to associate at once with the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 7.28, this is confirmed in the following verse.
Yeah. So Vidura, even though he's already a pure devotee, pious soul, because he has lived with the Kauravas and he has eaten the food given by them, I mean the remuneration by the Kaurava kingdom. So he first thought, let me visit some pious holy pilgrimage sites. Thereby I purify myself, and then I will meet Lord Krishna, who is personally present at that time. So that will give me the qualification to meet him. Yeah. So that's why he goes there. So this is Bhagavad Gita verse. Esham tvantagatam papam jananam punyakarmana. Tedbhandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridavvrataha. So when a person is sinful, he cannot uh, chant the holy name of Lord Bhajante mam dridavvrata with a fixed mind. He cannot pursue. So that is mentioned here. Please read here.
Only those who are pure devotees, those who follow the regulative principles of religious life as prescribed in the scriptures, are able to engage themselves in karma yoga and then jnana yoga, and thereafter by pure meditation can understand pure consciousness. When God consciousness is developed, one can take advantage of the association of pure devotees. Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. One is able to associate with the Lord even during the existence of this life.
Yes. Yeah. One is able to associate with the Lord even during the existence of this life. Yeah. Even all of us can associate with the Lord because Archa is non-different from the Supreme Lord Himself. Yeah? It's not a representation, it is the Supreme Lord Himself. It's not a representation. Yeah, here it's mentioned. Yeah, read.
The land of Bharatavarsha, there are many hundreds and thousands of places of pilgrimage distributed all over the country. And by traditional practice, the common man visits such holy places during all seasons of the year. Some of the Archa representations of the Lord situated in different places of pilgrimage are mentioned herewith. The Lord is present at Mathura, the birthplace of Lord Krishna, as Adi Keshava. The Lord is present at Puri, Orissa, as Lord Jagannatha, also known as Purushottama. He is present at Allahabad, Prayaga, as Bindu Madhava. At Mandara Hill, he is present as Madhusudana. In the Anandaranya, he is known as Vasudeva. Padmanabha and Janardana. At Vishnu Kanchi, he is known as Vishnu. And at Mayapura, he is known as Hari. There are millions and billions of such Archa forms of the Lord distributed all over the universe. All these Archa Murtis are summarized in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the following words. Sarvatra Prakasha Tanra Bhakte Sukhadite Jagatera Adharma Nasi Dharma Sthapite. The Lord has so distributed himself all over the universe just to give pleasure to the devotees, to give the common man facility to eradicate his sins, and to establish religious principles in the world.
Yeah, that is the purpose. Because Lord's presence is there all over the world, people can visit Him, see Him, and get purified. Pureshi punyo pavanadri punjes.
Pureshi punyo pavanadri kunjes.
Pankatoyeshu shorit sahasru sarashu.
Apankatoyeshu
Apnakata
sharit sarasu.
Sarisarahas.
Antalingai samalankriteshu.
Ananta
Anantalingai
Anantalingai
sankruteshu.
samankriteshu.
चचारतीर्थायतने स्वनान्या
चचारतीर्थायतनेषु
Translation. He began to travel alone, thinking only of Krishna. Through various holy places like Ayodhya, Dwaraka, and Mathura, he traveled where the grove, hill, orchard, river, and lake are all pure and sinless, and where the forms of the unlimited decorate the temples. Thus, he performed the pilgrim's progress.
Continue to visit various places.
Okay. These archa forms of the Lord may be considered idols by the atheists, but that does not matter for persons like Vidura or his many other servants. The forms of the Lord are mentioned here as Anantalinga. Such forms of the Lord have unlimited potency, the same as that of the Lord himself. There is no difference between the potencies of the archa and those of the personal forms of the Lord.
Yeah, there is no difference. Gamparyatam he medya vivikta vritti
Gamparyatam medya vivikta vritti
sada plutodha sayano vadhuta
Sada pluto sayano vaduta
kita svair avadhuta vesho
Alanta svair avadhuta vesho
tata nichere haritoshanani.
Tanichere haritoshanani.
Please read.
While so traversing the earth, he simply performed duties to please the Supreme Lord Hari. His occupation was pure and independent. He was constantly sanctified by taking his bath in holy places, although he was in the dress of a mendicant and had no hairdressing nor a bed on which to lie. Thus, he was always unseen by his various relatives.
He became very simple. He's just focused on his spiritual life. Ittam vrajan bharatamev varsham
Ittam bharatam
kalena yavat gatavan prabhasham
kal
Prabhasam
tavachavasasa kshitimek Napatram ajitena partha.
make
Yeah. Thus, when he was in the land of Bharatavarsha, traveling to all the places of pilgrimage, he visited Prabhasha Kshetra. At that time, Maharaj Yudhishthira was the emperor and held the world under one military strength and one flag. Yeah. So he visited Prabhasha Kshetra. That is a place. So that's where actually he hears the he meets Maitreya. Tatra dasusravasahridvinastim
Tatra
vanam yatha venujava nivasamsrayam
vanam
samspardhaya dagdam athanusochan
tam
saraswatim pratyayatushnim.
Saraswatim Pratyahaya
Yeah.
At the place of the pilgrimage at Prabhasa, It came to his knowledge that all his relatives had died due to the violent passion, just as an entire forest burns due to the fire produced by the friction of the bamboos. After this, he proceeded west, where the river Saraswati flows.
Let's read this.
Both the Kauravas and Yadavas were relatives of Vidura, and Vidura heard of their extinction due to fratricidal war. The comparison of the friction of forest bamboos to that of passionate human societies is appropriate. The whole world is compared to a forest. At any moment there may be a flare up of fire in the forest due to friction. No one goes to the forest to set it on fire, but due to only to friction between the bamboos, fire takes place and burns an entire forest. Similarly, in the greatest forest of worldly transaction, the fire of war takes place because of the violent passion of the conditioned souls, illusioned by the external energy. Such a worldly fire can be extinguished only by the water of the mercy cloud of saints, just as a forest fire can be extinguished only by rains falling from a cloud.
Yeah. No one goes to forest to set the fire, but due to only a friction between bamboos, fire takes place. Even in California, you heard, right? Always there is a fire, especially in summer, it will start again because there is some, flow of air and the bamboo sticks come together and they touch each other and there's going to be fire, right? So nobody sets it and nobody can stop it. So similarly, in the greater forest of worldly transactions, the fire of war takes place because of the violent passion of the conditioned souls illusioned by external energy. So similarly, in the middle world, there are always fights. No one knows why it started, but it happens because there is the fire of violent passion in people, right? And how this can be extinguished? It can be extinguished by the water of the mercy cloud of saints, huh? By the Sangha of great people, right? It can be extinguished because only a cloud can extinguish fire. Can you pour water and extinguish a forest fire? You cannot. It's impossible. Only when there is heavy rain, a forest fire can stop. No human efforts can stop it. The best they can do is to run away from the place, but they can't stop it. Ashyam tritasyo sanaso manoscha
तस्यां मनसो मनश्च
athagner asitasya vayo
पृथोर् अथाग्नेर् असितस्य वायो
तीर्थम sudasya sasya gavam guhasya
तीर्थं सुदासस्य गवां गुहस्य
श्राद्धव देवस्य स आसिसेवा
यच्चार्थदेवस्य
देवस्य स अस्ति
सेवा
Anybody?
Yeah.
On the bank of the river. Yeah, go ahead, bro.
On the bank of the river Saraswati, there were 11 places of the pilgrimage, namely Trita, Usana, Manu, Prithu, Agni, Ashit, Vayu, Shudas, Go, Guha, Shraddhadeva. Vidur visited all of them and duly performed rituals.
We don't know these names nowadays, right?
Right.
Even Saraswati, the river Saraswati is also not visible in Kali Yuga. Anyani cheha dvijadeva devai
Anyaneha
देवदेवदेवै
kritani nana yatanani Vishnu
कृतानि
नानायतनानि
नानायतनानि
विष्णो
विष्णो
मुख्यान् कितमन्दिराणि
प्रत्याङ्गमुख्याङ्कितमन्दिराणि
मन्दिराणि
यद्दर्शनात् कृष्णमसु अनुस्मरान्ते
यद्दर्शनात् कृष्णमनुस्मरन्ति.
स्मरन्ति.
Yeah. Please read.
There were
Trans-
also.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Okay. Translation. There were also many other temples of various forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, established by great sages and demigods. These temples were marked with the chief emblems of the Lord, and they reminded one always of the original personality of Godhead Lord Krishna.
So many temples. India is always, a great place. The Lord has appeared in so many places. तथास्त्व अतिव्रज्य सुरास्त्रं रुद्धम्
तथास्तिवे अतिवृज्य सुरास्त्रं
वृद्धम्
रथम्
मत्स्यान् कुरु जङ्गलंश्च
मत्स्यन् कुरुजङ्गलंश्च
कालेन तावद् यमुनाम् उपेत्य
कालेन तावत् यमुनामुपेत्य
तत्रोद्धवं भागवतं ददर्श
तत्रोद्धवं भागवतं ददर्श.
So all various exploits of Vidura, how he went through various places. Yeah, please read. Thereafter, he passed through very wealthy provinces like Surat, Sauvira, and Matsya, and through western India, known as Kurujangala. At last, he reached the bank of the Yamuna, where he happened to meet Uddhava, the great devotee of Lord Krishna. So Vidura meets Uddhava. Prabhupada explains about various, especially Madura and Vrindavan.
So all these places is not there right now, right, Prabhuji? Whatever he
Are
visited.
there, for example, Surat is there, right?
Surat. Correct.
Yeah, Sauvira name would have changed.
Okay.
Yeah, Kurujangala. I mean, these are more Vedic names if you see Matsya.
Prabhuji, previously it was mentioned Prabhasa Kshetra. So, is that also previously named place or something?
Prabhas Kshetra, yeah, it's also a previous name. Yeah, we can find out what the place is. I don't know exactly now, but it must be well-known thing.
Okay, sure, Prabhu. Thank you.
Kurujangala. You Prabhupada explains some of that. Yeah. Savasudevanucharam prasantam
वासुदेवानुचारं प्रसादं
यहस्पते प्राक्तनयं प्रतीतं
स्पते प्राक्तनं प्रतीतम्
आलिङ्ग्यगाधं प्रणयेन भद्रं
लिङ्गगाधं प्रणयेन भद्रम्
स्वानम् अपृच्छाद् भगवत्प्रजानाम्
अपृच्छत् भगवत्प्रजानाम्.
Then, due to his great love and feeling, Vidura embraced him, Uddhava, who was a constant companion of Lord Krishna and formerly a great student of Brihaspati's. Vidura then asked him for news of the family of Lord Krishna the personality of Godhead.
Yeah, please read.
Vidura was older than Uddhava, like a father, and therefore, when the two met, Uddhava bowed down before Vidura, and Vidura embraced him because Uddhava was younger, like a son. Vidura's brother Pandu was Lord Krishna's uncle and was the cousin to Lord Krishna, according to social custom. Therefore, Vidura was to be respected by Uddhava on the level of his father.
So Uddhava is almost like a son to Vidura. Kachit Purano Purushau Svanabhya
Kachit Puranam Purusho Svanabhyam
Padmanuvrittehya Kila Kilavatirnau
Patma Deva
Kilavatirnam
Asatavuvya Kushalam Vidhaya
Asha
Asatavya Kushalam Vidya
Kshanau Kushalam Suragehe.
Purta
Krita
Kshano
Krishnam Kusalam Saraki.
Vihe.
Yeah, please start.
Please tell me whether the original personalities of Godhead who incarnated themselves at the request of Brahma, who is born out of the lotus flower from the Lord, and who have increased the prosperity of the world by elevating everyone, are doing well in the house of Shurasena.
Now the inquiries have started. First, he started with the Supreme Lord, whether the original personalities, which includes Lord Krishna and Lord Balarama. So he's inquiring about them, whether, they are all doing fine. So we'll continue this next week. There are more inquiries like this. Please tell me like that. Questions. 27th onwards, I'll continue. Okay. Any
Yes.
questions or any discussions, any points you want to share? Anyone?
So, Prabhu, when you discussed the first verse today, you mentioned about the association, right? Association of the worldly people
Yep.
can cause us havoc or can cause into moving away from Krishna.
Lose discrimination. That's what we discussed.
Now, I also sometimes is putting my thoughts there that whenever we go to the work and we start engaging with the co-workers, and then there is a happy hour concept in work, right? And then we've been invited and we go and sit around the people, and I just feel, is that the moment we can consider that we are associating with the worldly minded people and then we are just simply moving away from Krishna consciousness? Or should we consider that is our duty and we should just tolerate there and just sit, and it's just a very tricky situation there, right?
Yeah, I mean, all of us have to go through that. That's
Hmm.
yeah. So first thing is association means
Hmm.
opening the heart and receiving the heart.
Hmm.
Talking your personal uh, details.
Hmm.
In all these office hours, everybody, either teases each other or, tries to talk about some worldly
Hmm.
things or sports or, movies or politics. So that's not association actually,
Okay, bro.
not association. But at the same time, it will have some impact, more likely negative, but, you chant extra round that day, 1 or 2 rounds, then it'll be fine, something like that. So we cannot avoid it, you know. That's why we chant every day. Chanting is like inoculation, is like going to keep you spiritually strong, so that when you go pursue in the world, you are not impacted by the material energy outside. It's like daily dose of medicine
Mm.
to strengthen your soul. So
Thank
we
you.
cannot avoid it. We only have to just
Tolerate.
tolerate, and and also when you are there, you should be like normal. You should not behave like. Otherwise, people will think this
Mm.
person doesn't mix with others. He is different.
Mm.
You don't want to give any such impression, because that may be your service. At some point, somebody may want to, become devotee, and
Mm.
our behavior should be inspiring for them. It should not be. So we should be normal with normal people. That's how I personally take.
Mm.
We some things like anybody else outside, but doesn't mean that we changed completely or anything like that. Be normal. Don't try to be like very different.
Mm.
Most people, at least those who we interact, they're not like extremely bad, or they're all professionals. So be normal with them, so that they don't feel disconnected with us.
Mhm. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
And it's not negative association, because you are not really opening up your heart like you do with your close friends.
Yes, yes.
Don't like take their advices or their ideologies.
Mm.
We should avoid.
Yes, Prabhuji.
We are okay. There is no problem.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
No. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu. I like the point here that Vidura, even though he was insulted by Duryodhana and he left the palace and he took shelter of many pilgrims.
Yeah.
This one, and even same Dhruv Maharaj also, like when he was insulted by his stepmother, he went took the shelter of the Supreme Godhead as instructed by Narada Muni.
Mm.
This shows that at any situation we should take the shelter of the Supreme God, at any cost of insults or any other hardships we go through, the surrender.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's what devotees consistently show, whether it is Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, or anyone for that matter. Yeah, that's a good lesson. Thank you for sharing, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Very well. Okay, we're at the top of the hour. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.